The medical coding field seems so mysterious. I can't tell you how many times I get questioned on what exactly is medical coding. What do you guys do? Or how do you even break into the medical coding field? I can admit that before I became a medical coder, I had no idea medical coding even existed as a profession. It made sense to me about medical billing, and no matter how many times I saw the commercials or whatever on TV, what do you guys do? Or how do you even break into the medical coding field? I can admit that before I became a medical coder, I had no idea medical coding even existed as a profession. It made sense to me about medical billing, and no matter how many times I saw the commercials or whatever on TV about medical billing and coding, I never thought about the coding side of it. I've always focused on the billing side of it. But medical coding is a beast in and of itself. And because there's so much mystery around medical coding, I thought it would be a really cool idea to make a video about the 7 things that I wish I knew before becoming a medical coder. So if you're interested in wanting to know about the 7 things I wish I knew before I became a medical coder, then stick around. What's up, everyone? My name is Kat, and I am a certified professional medical coder, certified professional medical auditor, medical biller, and owner of Superior Medical Consulting, where we provide superior billing solutions for your private practice. You can visit our website at superiormedicalconsulting.com to schedule your free consultation today, and this is Level Up Medical Coding. Okay. So let's just go ahead and get into the video. I want to share with you today 7 things that I wish I knew before I became a medical coder. And we're just going to get straight into it. So number 1, the first thing I wish I knew before becoming a medical coder was all the fees that was going to be involved. All the money that I was going to spend on obtaining my credential, and that it doesn't stop. Thank God I have a job that pays my yearly membership fees, and that also gives us access to, the webinars that's at AAPC. For those of you that don't know, I obtained my credentials, my CPC, my CPMA, my CPCD, and my CRC through AAPC. And with AAPC, you basically have to go ahead and just pay for your school, your lectures, your books, everything straight away. There's no financial aid or anything like that. In addition to that, when you become certified, you have to maintain a membership in AAPC. AAPC charges a yearly membership fee to be a part of their network. So I'm just looking here at my purchases with AAPC, and I've been a member of AAPC since about I want to say about late 2015, 2016. And so far, I have spent $4,757 that AAPC has record of. Now, I say that because there's also other things that I have purchased to support my medical billing and coding career, such as continuing education units and other manuals that I thought would help me, medical dictionaries and things of that nature. But just with AAPC so far, I've spent $4,757. And as I stated earlier, thank God that I have been a part of organizations that willing to pay for my membership, my yearly membership, because that is an added expense if you are credentialed through AAPC. I believe at the time of this recording, annual membership dues right now is $210. So every year, in order for you to maintain your credential, you have to pay $210 to be certified. So with that said, you also have to buy new books every year. Again, I've been very fortunate to be a part of organizations that purchases our books for us, that purchases our annual membership. Some of my jobs even purchased webinars for us so that we could get our continuing education units. And that leads me into point number 2. The second thing that I've wished I've known before becoming a medical coder was that I would have to have CEUs, which stands for continuing educational units. So I did not realize before I became a coder that I was going to have to continuously learn. And it's mandatory. And with that, there are free continuing education units that you can find. You definitely have to scour the net to find those, but there's also paid ones that you will want to take advantage of. And it's to your benefit to do that because it helps you to stay current in your profession. So some of the free CEUs, while they're not bad, they may not necessarily support the specialties that you code. So you will have to take part and come out of your pocket and pay for those. Again, my employer helps us out by purchasing the webinars that AAPC offers. And just to give you some context of the price of webinars, as at the time of this recorded listing, that if you purchase a single webinar, which is typically just an hour for members, that's if you've paid your certification dues, your yearly dues, is $65 per webinar. You can also purchase for a discount a 6-pack of webinars at $199. Then they also have an option for a year subscription of webinars for $419 or a 2-year subscription for $529. And again, webinars helps to keep you current in your profession. It also helps to give you CEUs. Now, AAPC does offer some free CEUs. Like I stated earlier, you have their magazine that you can utilize. You can read the magazine and take part in the quizzes that helps them out. Some payers offer webinars that will give you CEUs. Some organizations have partnered with AAPC and AHIMA that will give you free CEUs for attending their webinars. You just have to search for those things. With my busy schedule, it's just easier for me to go to AAPC and utilize their webinars. And again, since my employer paid for it, I'm definitely taking advantage of that. So yeah, I did not know that I would have to continually get CEUs and pay for them. And with every credential that you obtain, it increases your CEU count that you'll need. Depending on how many credentials you have, will directly affect how many CEUs you have to get. You do get 2 years in order to obtain all these CEUs, but you do have to get them every 2 years. So, according to AAPC's website, for one certification, it's 36 CEUs. For 2 certifications, it's 40 CEUs. For 3 certifications, you need 44 CEUs. For 4 certifications, you need 48 CEUs. And for 5 or more, you need 52 CEUs. So, you definitely have to stay on top of that because the CEU deadlines can sneak up on you. You have to get these every 2 years and you have to pay attention because some CEUs are specific to the specialty that you in. So you have to kind of search for specialty CEUs for something. It can be a pain, but it's necessary for the profession that we're in. That's just the cost of being a medical coder. But on that same vein, it leads me to the third thing I wish I would have known before becoming a medical coder, and that is I would be addicted to credentials. Like every medical coder goes into this initially wondering, what certification should I start off with? And if you're with AAPC, which is what I have the experience with, 9 times out of 10, or maybe 80% of the time, You will start off with your CPC, or other times you get something maybe like your COC to start off with. But usually you always start off with something like your CPC. Once you've been in the field for a little while, you realize, oh man, like I want to take my career in this direction. So it makes you think about what other credentials can you get to add to your toolbox, so to speak, to help make you a better coder, to help enhance your skill set. And once you go down that rabbit hole, it never ends. So the reason why I obtained my CRC was because I worked for a facility that was in ACO, and they primarily dealt with risk adjustments, Medicare payments. And so they wanted their coders to understand HCC coding and risk adjustment. So they paid for us to get our CRC credential. Personally, I always wanted to be an educator slash auditor. So I had already in my career mapped that I want to obtain my credential to be a certified professional medical auditor, and perhaps maybe even an educator. So I obtained my CPMA because I'm on the path of doing that. The next credential that I will probably get, don't hold me to it, but I will probably get is my teaching credential, because I do want to be able to be an educator and teach medical coding eventually. I obtained my CPCD because I started coding dermatology specialty. I was not familiar with dermatology, and I wanted to, be educated in what is all involved in dermatology coding. When I first was asked or assigned to code dermatology, I would get mixed up with some of the surgeries. If anybody has ever coded from the integumentary system section of the CPT book, there are so many rules that you have to abide by, especially when you are dealing with benign and malignancies, and you're dealing with excisions, and you're dealing with lesions and all of that stuff. So it's a lot of guidelines and rules. And I just wanted to make sure that when I was, querying my providers or reading their medical notes, and I understood what was going on there. And so I decided that it would be to my best interest to obtain my CPCD, which is my Certified Professional Coding in Dermatology. So also that's on my consideration list is my CUC, and that's my Certified Urology Coding certification. And that's because I now code for urology, and there is a lot of complex procedures that are done in the urology clinic. I want to get a better grasp on. So I'm thinking about getting that credential, although it's still in the air, but I probably will. But yeah, so I did not know I would be addicted to getting into credentials like that. But that also takes us into the fourth thing I wish I knew before becoming a certified professional medical coder, and that was I would be forever learning. Now, as coders, we know that we get new code sets every January and every October. And it's crazy that we get code sets twice a year. Like, and sometimes it's more often than that, but we definitely get new code sets. In January, our new CPT codes come out, and in October, our new DX codes come out. And so we have to always be familiar with the changes that goes on. Now, you don't necessarily have to know every change that goes on, but if it's something that affects a specialty that you code, you better know the changes that's happening. In addition to that, you also will have to understand when payer policies update, even when your facility or your provider does something. I've been in clinical settings where my provider will learn about a new technique or a new procedure and bring it back to their clinic and want to implement that. And so I'll have to quickly learn the proper way to code that, and that I can bill for it and need to report it so that we can get reimbursed for that. So you will always learn about new things. Sometimes you get diagnoses that you have not even heard of, and you have to go and research the disease process for that diagnosis to understand how to report those codes in conjunction with the procedure that's being done. So there is a lot of learning that you have to do medical coding, and you're going to continue to learn. Sometimes you get new payers that come on board, and you're going to have to learn how to report things to those payers. The most impactful example that was in my lifetime, my professional coding career, was when COVID became a thing. Like, our COVID codes was experimental, or like they wasn't even existent before we got a handle on it. And just as they were reporting updates on the news, we were getting that information in from our supervisors about, okay, this is now how we need to report. Oh, scratch that. Now they reporting it this way. First it was telehealth is not going to be a payable thing, and then now telehealth is going to be payable for everything, and no telehealth is going to end March 2021. Oh no, they extended it to March 2022. Oh no, now they only accept these codes. It was just a lot of confusion during that time. And so we had to stay on top of everything and learn everything that we needed to learn about that big, huge pandemic crisis that happened in our lifetime. So you definitely would be forever learning in medical coding. And yeah, I did not understand that that was going to be a part of my job. The fifth thing that I would like to point out that I did not know before I became a medical coder was that there would be so many career paths. Now, I mentioned earlier how I had my career mapped out. Like, I knew I wanted to be a educator, so I felt like I should get my auditing credential. I felt like that would be beneficial because, of course, I knew when I started medical coding, or probably not like when I first started, but fairly early in my career, that I wanted to become an educator in medical coding. In my career mapping plan, I thought it would be beneficial for me to get my auditing credential. So I set a timeline, a realistic timeline of when I felt like I should, obtain that credential. My next step is I want to become an educator. So now I have to work on when can I fit studying for my instructor's license into my schedule, into my lifestyle. But I did not realize the career path that I was going to be. When I first became a medical biller and decided that I wanted to transition into medical coding, initially the only thing on my mind was becoming a medical coder. I did not think about, oh my God, do I want to teach this? Like, how could I have the audacity as a new coder to think that I could teach that? Maybe some people go into this with big dreams, but I didn't. I was like, I just want to code and get a career that I could make a decent living and provide for my family. But once I got into it and just felt like I belonged in this position, I belonged in this career field, I was like, man, if I want to teach other people that's just as passionate in medical coding as I am. And so there's so many career opportunities that you can just go into just from getting your CPC, especially if you have advanced education in your background. Like, if you have a bachelor's, a master's, even a PhD, if you come from a clinical setting, there's so many avenues that you can go through with medical coding. You can go from being an employee working for someone to partnering with someone to consulting to freelancing to owning your own business. So many things, from coding to documentation to auditing to teaching. There's so many things. It's a lot of different career paths you can go down. I did not know that. I wish I had known that prior to getting into medical coding, and maybe I could have set myself up in a different path. But I'm not mad at the career path that I'm going down now. So yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know. The sixth thing I wish I would have known before becoming a medical coder is that it's okay if you're unsure about something. You're not going to know it all. It's okay. It's okay to call yourself an expert or to specialize in a particular sector of the medical field and still have questions. Most of us are not clinicians when we become a medical coder. So, how can we understand every nuance, every procedure, every diagnosis that's being presented to us? It's okay to ask questions. It's even okay to make mistakes. Everything is fixable. You can amend and addend pretty much anything. Now, the caveat to that is you will perhaps make costly mistakes if you aren't careful. But the most important thing is that you learn from those mistakes. So make sure that if you can admit that you don't know something, that you don't be afraid to ask questions. You don't be afraid to say you don't know. You don't just make up something. You just say, I don't know. I've never encountered that before, but I can go research it. I can go and try to find out. I can go ask someone that has perhaps probably been in this way longer than me or have been exposed to that. The great thing about the medical coding network or the medical coding community is that we are small enough that we tend to know each other locally, but even nationally. Once you find out that somebody else is a medical coder or biller, you tend to kind of keep them in your back pocket because you never know what questions you may have and what they can help you with. We all have different exposures to different things that our clinics and our hospitals and our providers do. We all have a different way of coming up with the same code set. So it's very beneficial to have you a little network of coding buddies or billing buddies that you can always try to bounce things off of, because we're not going to know everything. I don't know any coder or any biller out there that knows everything. Now, there's some of us that know a lot because we've been around for a long time and we've seen a lot. And plus, you gain this critical thinking skill as the years progress to help you to make sense of some of the things that can cause gray areas in this field. That is an advantage of being able to talk to so many different coders and billers, or at least to have a team surrounding you to help you to answer those questions when you don't know. But it's okay if you don't know, especially when you're newer in the field. You're not going to be exposed to everything in school. So you're not going to know a lot. And I'm here to tell you again, it's okay not to know everything, even if you have a CPCD, even if you have your CRC, you're still not going to know everything. Last but not least, the seventh thing that I wish I would have known before I became a medical coder was that I was going to absolutely fall in love with my career. Now, I know people say that and it may be cliche, I don't know, but a lot of us study our career because either one, we think about the money that's involved, or two, it's because it's a passion of ours and it leads us to that path. I don't know too many people that get out of high school and know I'm going to be a medical coder. Most of us end up stumbling upon this profession, get thrown into medical coding some way, somehow, and just stick with it because we fell in love with it because it's so rewarding. I like to say we are the unsung heroes of the healthcare profession. Like, we're not patient facing. We don't handle billing questions. We don't, see the patients and make an impact directly with the patients. The patients don't even know that we advocate for them. But we are on the back end making sure that we're not overcharging patients. We're on the back end making sure that we're combining things that needs to be combined so that we don't double charge them. We're trying to make sure that their diagnoses are accurately reflected in their clinical record so that we don't mistakenly assign them, for example, cancer when they don't have cancer. It could just be an uncertain behavior of something, not necessarily cancer, but we don't know what it is. And so, to an untrained eye, mistakenly assign somebody something. I've seen where it's been picked up that a person was a smoker when they really wasn't. So, we are the ones that's on the back end that's kind of making sure that the clinical side and the billing side is kind of being understood and talked to correctly. We are the ones that help to provide the the federal professionals the statistics on the health of the country. We are the ones that is making sure that insurance companies are understanding what's going on in our patient population. So we are the ones that's doing that. We are the ones that's helping the revenue come into the facilities. We are the ones that's making sure that our providers are getting paid fairly for the things that they provide to their patients. So it's definitely a rewarding career because we definitely are important. We are an important piece to this puzzle, and we play a role that is very much under the radar but very much needed in our healthcare system. So we definitely have to have a passion and a love for what we do. And I did not realize how much I was going to fall in love with being a medical coder. I wish I would have known about this profession a lot sooner than what I did, because I know that I will be so much further in my career had I've known that. I am grateful that I ended up here and I am where I'm at, and I have met so many amazing people. I have worked with and for so many amazing providers and so many amazing revenue cycle management teams. I've met a lot of people, and I just can't say enough that it's just taking me places that I didn't even know that I wanted to go. It's giving me an outlet to be able to talk to you guys out here and to expose you to medical coding of healthcare, to expose you to this world of healthcare. So I'm very grateful for my career. I'm very grateful for this profession. And if anyone asks me if they should become a medical coder, and I would definitely say, if that's your passion, if you feel like you can make a difference, if you truly feel like what you do is important, you would definitely make an excellent medical coder, and you very much should go for this profession. It's not easy, it's not simple, it's not common, but it's definitely worth it. So that is my spiel of the 7 things that I wish I knew before becoming a medical coder. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really would be interested to hear some of your guys' takes on what did you wish you would have known before you became a medical coder. I haven't asked a question in my videos in a long time, but I really am genuinely curious about what you wish you would have known before you became a medical coder. Like, one of the biggest things to me was the cost involved, obviously, but besides that, it's a pretty important aspect of the career. But the rewards that I've gotten from becoming a medical coder, that was a small price to pay for a profession that I love and that has supplied me and my family with a decent living and opened up so many doors and avenues for me. So until the next video, you take care. As always, leave me the comments that you have, any questions that you may need answered, and I will see you in the next one.